Where's something about the quiet, isolated countryside that so often becomes the perfect setting for our absolute worst nightmares? But today, we are not talking about fiction. No, we are going to deconstruct three terrifyingly true stories to really understand the anatomy of modern horror, where the biggest threat isn't some monster, but the person you meet when you are miles and miles from anywhere.
This quote, it just hits you, right? I'm lucky that I'm here telling the story. That's the core of it, survival. This comes from one of our survivors, and it really sets the stakes for everything we're about to talk about. These aren't just campfire tales. They are near-death experiences that expose a very, very specific kind of vulnerability. Every nightmare has to start somewhere. And in each of these stories, that beginning was full of hope, ambition, or just the simple desire for a fresh start. And it's that contrast between the dream and what actually happens that makes the turn so incredibly chilling.
I mean, just look at how normal and relatable these beginnings are. You've got a comedian chasing a huge career-making gig just 5 hours from home, a group of friends taking a spontaneous road trip to get over some bad breakups, and then a couple planning this epic trip to get engaged under the stars. Each journey starts with this really clear, positive goal, which is exactly what makes the detour they're about to take so absolutely terrifying.
Okay, so how does it all go so terribly wrong? Well, the first key ingredient is the setting itself. They all find themselves in these places where our modern safety nets, our phones, our reliable cars, even just being near other people are suddenly and completely stripped away.
It's like this perfect storm of vulnerability. First, your tech fails you. Of course, no cell service right when you need it the most. Then, your car, your one ticket out of there, becomes a source of anxiety, like the comedian's quote, garbage car. You add in these unfamiliar back roads where one wrong turn means you are completely lost. And then, the most crucial ingredient of all, absolutely no witnesses. Out there, anything can happen, because there's no one around to see it.
And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures that feeling, doesn't it? This is what the comedian was thinking before anything even went down. It's that little fear that sits in the back of your mind on any long, lonely road. That constant whisper telling you that if things go south, you are utterly, completely on your own. So you've got this perfect, isolated stage set. Now, the next terrifying element enters the picture. And these stories, they aren't about bears or ghosts. The real horror comes from other people. From these encounters that just shatter every expectation we have of normal human behavior. I mean, think about it. When you're lost or you're in trouble, what do? You look for help, right? You pull into the local gas station. But what happens when the people you ask for directions just give you these dead-eye stares? What happens when the very people who are supposed to be your lifeline turn out to be the danger you're trying to escape? And here you can see the face of that threat. But what's so chilling isn't just that they're dangerous. It's how these people defy all social logic. You have townspeople who just communicate with grunts and these vacant stares. You've got masked intruders who mimic screams with silent, creepy, mime-like gestures. And a stalker who's mumbling erratically while hiding under a truck. The horror is in the unpredictability. These aren't just regular bad guys with clear motives. They're operating on a whole different, terrifying wavelength, where the normal rules of human interaction have totally broken down. That's the common thread, right there. The terror doesn't just come from the threat of violence, it comes from the fact that these antagonists are behaving in ways that are just deeply and fundamentally wrong. They're not responding like normal people. It's like they're a glitch in reality, and that is profoundly unsettling. And that brings us to the climax. All that creeping dread, the isolation, those unsettling encounters, it all builds to a single moment. The moment where the threat becomes terrifyingly real and immediate. This is where that slow burn of suspense just explodes into pure terror. For the comedian who's trapped in his car, it starts with this. A sudden, violent sound that just shatters the silence. The threat isn't at a distance anymore. It's right outside his door, and it's trying to get in. Then for the friends in that abandoned farmhouse, the terror is just bizarre. One of them screams, and the attacker just screams right back. A perfect, chilling copy. So it's not just an attack, it's some kind of twisted psychological game. And for the camper, the attack is brutally physical and comes from absolutely nowhere. One second, he's looking around for an intruder, and the next, his ankle is just smashed by a tree branch from someone who is hiding right under his truck the whole time. So escaping the immediate danger, that's one thing. But as these stories show us, getting away is really only the first step. Surviving the attack and then surviving the memory of it, well, those are two entirely different battles. So how do you actually survive something like this? Well, it's not with some big, elaborate plan. It's with pure animal instinct. In a moment of just sheer panic, the comedian makes a series of split-second decisions. He uses his car door as a weapon, creates a distraction, and then has the presence of mind to hide close by instead of just running blindly into the dark woods. It's a masterclass in survival, fueled by nothing but adrenaline. And that's really what these final showdowns boil down to, a clash between pure desperation and cold intent. On one side, you see these improvised, defensive actions born out of terror, the comedian's car door, the friend's tiny can of pepper spray. And on the other side, you have premeditated violence, the stalker's tree branch and kitchen knife. And sometimes that line gets blurry, like when the fiancé turns their entire truck into a weapon, using intent to fuel her own desperate act of defense. And this is the stuff that sticks with you. The physical danger might be over, but the psychological impact, that's permanent. One survivor says she's still not over the mental scars from that trip. Another is left just wondering if his violent ex will ever reappear in his life. And the comedian, he's left with this chilling piece of wisdom. You never, ever know what people are capable of, especially when no one is around to witness it. At the end of the day, this is why these stories haunt us. They feel real because they tap into this deep, modern anxiety that the systems we rely on, like our phones and just basic social decency, are way more fragile than we want to believe. They prey on our universal fear of being vulnerable, of being in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong person. The true horror isn't just what happened to them. It's the chilling realization that it really could happen to any of us. And that leaves us with one final haunting question to think about. When you're isolated, when technology fails you, and when the people around you are the source of the threat, what are you left with? As these stories show, sometimes the only thing standing between you and a nightmare is your own split-second instinct to survive.